Ready to make a difference? This is the Palm Harbor Chamber of Commerce podcast, where we connect you with the stories behind our local businesses.
Welcome to the Palm Harbor Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Kert Rhodes, and I have here today Keenan Knopke. I pronounced it right, didn't I?
You did. You did
From
a great
Curlew
job.
Hills. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. So tell us, let's dive right into it. Talk us a little bit about yourself and Curlew Hills, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll give you the self side first.
All right.
I was born in Tampa, Florida, 74 years ago.
Oh, native. Okay.
Lived in Florida my entire life.
Okay.
Mostly in a little community called Temple Terrace.
Yes.
For everything but about 15 years.
Okay.
I visited Miami for a year, Fort Lauderdale for 10 years.
Okay.
And the rest in Winter Park and back to Tampa, or Temple Terrace.
So what brought you back to Tampa when those missed all those years?
I was
down
working for
south?
the same company, all the way coming back.
Okay.
One day got a call from a friend of mine that was retiring from Curlew Hills. And he was looking for a particular gentleman
Yeah.
that had been general manager of another company that had worked for me in the company we both worked for. And I told him, I know where he is. He's on Maggie Valley, North Carolina, retired.
Okay.
He said, can you get a hold of him? I said, sure. What do you want me to tell him? Because he's going to ask the question. He says, well, I'm retiring
Yeah.
and I'm looking for my replacement. I
Okay.
said, okay, I'll give him a buzz. And I did. And he said to tell him thank you, but heck no. Maybe a little different than heck, but you know what I'm getting to.
Yes, I do.
And so I said, okay. So then I called him back and told him a couple of days later, and I said, tell me about it. Tell me what you're doing, what you do, and what you're doing. And so we started talking, and it was a nice segue into my meeting the owners of Curlew Hills.
Okay.
And we struck up a friendship, and I eventually replaced him.
Yeah. Very
And that
interesting.
was 23 years ago.
So you've been with Curlew Hills 23 years?
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I used to live right behind Curlew Hills, well, kind of down the street, Spanish Oaks.
Yep. No,
So
exactly.
I've lived here for, well, I'm 55 now, so call it 55 years, right? I kind of ventured over into Trinity about 7-8 years, but I just love this. I just love this area. I just really like it. I like the golf. I like the water, the restaurants.
Yeah.
Community.
My wife and I would have moved over here, except our oldest daughter and her family moved back he was in the Air Force, retired, moved back to Temple Terrace and bought a home about a mile away.
Okay.
And now have 3 kids, 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Okay.
And grandma wasn't going to leave the kids. You get in the car and drive every day, have all the fun you can have, but
Right.
I'm not leaving.
All right.
So that's why we don't live over here. Otherwise, we would be here.
Understandable. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit from yourself to Curlew Hills. What is Curlew Hills? What the whole kind of dynamics of Curlew Hills?
Curlew Hills was started back in the late 70s. And it was started by a family by the last name of Bill Gore.
Okay.
Bill Gore family was well known in the community before then because they were in the fruit business. And they had
Orange Groves.
orange groves,
Okay.
citrus groves. They
Right.
brokered fruit. They owned a couple of packing plant
Okay.
companies
Yeah.
in Clearwater, and they shipped fruit. Had roadside fruit stands as well up 19, and they were doing well in the fruit business. Except one day they heard that the EPA was looking at groves and how they took care of their fruit during the winter.
Okay.
And also they were already experiencing imported fruit that cost less than what they could grow for and make money with. But really it was both of those functions or happenings
Yeah.
that pushed them out of the grove business and the fruit business altogether.
Yeah.
They sold everything they had. Decided at that point they wanted to open a bank. And if you look back in Florida history, right about that time, Florida approved state chartered banks. There were federal banks already, but
Okay.
they were limited and
Right.
are limited. But state chartered banks was the new way. And they went to the controller at that time and said, Mr. Controller, we've sold everything. We're good businessmen. We want to go into the banking business, and we'd like to apply for a state chartered bank. Will you give us one? And the controller had the ultimate say.
Yeah.
As the story goes, the controller came back and said, no, you don't know anything about banks.
Right.
He said, we will hire somebody to run our bank for us.
Yeah.
No, not going to do it, but I'll give you a cemetery license, because the controller had the authority over cemeteries at that time.
Oh, okay.
Controller and chief financial officer today have control over a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But anyhow, back to where I was. They said, why would you insult us like that? We don't know anything about dead bodies, and really, quite frankly, don't want to. Why would you do that? And he says, it's simple. Think about it. You were very successful in the grove business because you knew how to manage land.
Right.
Cemetery business is the same thing.
Same
It's
thing.
managing land.
Right.
So they took the cemetery license. The family leader at that point, a gentleman by the name of Howard Lawrence, was the point person, and he researched cemeteries for a year and a half. And that's where I first met Howard. Was he came to our family cemetery in Tampa, a company called Garden of Memories. Met him one day and we talked. My dad and I drove over to visit Curlew then, looked at the land and looked at the road that was bumpy and almost unpaved, and said, okay, good luck. But Howard spent a year and a half,
Okay.
thereabouts, researching cemeteries all over the country. He came back, designed and built the basics, the first part of Curlew.
Okay.
The day they opened, they were debt-free and had money in the bank.
Wow.
And surprisingly, as it may be in today's time, the company remains debt-free with money in the bank. And to make it even better, not better, but a better scenario for the future of Curlew, it's master planned. I've been chairman of regulatory boards that regulate our industry
Right.
for several years, and there aren't 5 cemeteries in Florida that are master planned.
Interesting.
What that does is it allows it to do things that have already been pre-approved.
Yeah.
It takes out planning and zoning and, somebody that says, I don't like cemeteries today, that somebody in the regulatory business.
That's very interesting history. Now, the actual building on Curlew Hills, facing the road,
Right.
has that always been kind of the red brick?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
All the way back.
That's
Red
what I
brick.
thought.
The cemetery today we call it administration building. If you pull into our property, you're going to turn right or left.
Right.
If you make the right turn, that was the original building. Only
Oh,
about a
okay.
third of the size of that building was the original building.
Gotcha.
Over the years, it's grown to house more people, administrative offices,
Right.
sales offices, that type of thing. And then the funeral home would be your left turn.
Right. Right.
Um,
Okay.
It doesn't look like a cemetery or a funeral home when you drive by. It looks like an office complex.
Yeah. Most likely. Yeah.
And
I'll give you that.
it's pretty regularly people come in and say, wow, we didn't even know this here. We've lived here 25 years. We didn't know where this place was or what it was.
Yeah.
Other than we go by it going to the honeymoon island.
Right. Exactly. Wow. So how many acres are actually out there?
Curlew
Hills?
is 30 acres.
30 acres.
And by cemetery standards, that's low.
Okay.
That's the minimum you can have to be a licensed cemetery in Florida right
Okay.
now.
All right.
But
So what do you do to grow? Instead of acreage going this way, are you going
you can
up?
it's a combination of things. 30 acres 30 or 40 years ago was probably considered to be small, but they took a chance.
Okay.
Today with cremation, it's in this market 70%, and having been that way since they started, because National Cremation Society started in Clearwater back in the 70s.
Okay.
That being said, the demand for full-size grave spaces isn't what it used to be. Thus, you can take, again, managing land, going back to that phrase that they were told to think about.
Right.
They managed it well to lay it out to where you can have a lot of places for cremated remains in a lot of different ways, but still offer traditional things like grave spaces, mausoleum crypts.
Okay.
We've got cremation niches, both glass ones as well as marble front or granite front,
Yeah.
to a variety of other ways to.
Yeah, you're very diversified. When you drive through there's a lot of different things you can do.
Yep, and at the same time, we've still got land left. We've got 10 acres we've not even touched.
Wow.
And there's
You wouldn't think that though.
no, you would.
Just because the amount of years it's been there, people that pass away.
Yeah.
But
And the fact that a cemetery, there's always room for more. I mean, even in a master plan scenario, there's walkways, there's pathways.
Right.
We've got, for whatever reason, Howard designed the roads to be wider than a 2-lane highway. Almost enough you could park on the curb and still get 2 lanes of traffic.
I noticed that.
You could
Yeah.
squeeze that down, take a third of it away, and create a lot more land,
Yeah.
and still be nice and neat for traffic.
Right. So when you come into your entrance, and obviously you go to the right, because the left is kind of your
Over to the funeral home, but it goes
Right.
around to the same place.
right. So how far back is it? Pretty much a
It's a big loop. There's a
Okay.
short, smaller loop. There's actually really 3 loops.
Okay.
You can go one of 2 ways when you come in,
Right.
and you'll come out the other way.
right. Okay.
There's a couple of crossroads back there, but as far back, if you get back to our 9/11 memorial, you've just about gotten to the edge.
Stole my point right there.
Oh,
The 911, because I remember thinking about that, and I know you guys have that every year
Yep.
on September 11th.
10
Just
a.m.
talk briefly what that's about, when it is. Obviously, it's on September 11th, but and the dignitaries that are there, kind of the. How did you even get that started? That's the interesting part.
The interesting part of this was Palm Harbor Fire Department, along with a 5th grade class from Ozona Elementary,
Really?
requested the steel. Steel is only given out to governments or nonprofits.
Right.
Curlew looked at getting it, and we realized in probably the first paragraph, not-for-profit making company. What? Nope, can't do that.
Right.
Excuse me. They applied,
Okay.
and as the story goes, or they told me, every 6 months you're supposed to get a letter, whether you're still being considered or that you've been disqualified.
Okay.
Well, on one of their 6-month anniversaries, I think it may have been their 5th, but it could be wrong, big box showed up. Nobody knew what the box was, and they started messing around with it. It was heavy. Opened it up, and holy cow, we got a piece of steel. Oh, they had done no fundraising, no nothing, had no idea what they were going to do or where they were going to put it. They started fundraising, and that was back in 2008, 2009, when the
Okay.
economy wasn't real good.
Right.
And Chief Angle and Julie Peluso came by to see me one day and said, "Hey, would you put some flyers out? We're selling bricks. We're going to build this 9/11 memorial at
Right.
Station 63, I believe,
Okay.
and trying to raise some money. We got an architect that's donated some services to design and so
Right.
forth." I said, "Sure, be happy to." I ran into one of the two a month or two later and said, "Hey, how's the fundraising going?" "Well, got your money." And that was about it. We sold a few bricks, but it's pretty tight out there.
Right.
And at that time, I was building a big mausoleum building. Had workers there every day. It's a building called Whispering Pines, which is right across the way from where the 9/11 memorial is.
Okay.
And I said, "I believe your memorial should be at 63. At the same time, I'll be happy to build it at no cost to you if you put it in Curlew." And they talked about it. I said, "One requirement, you bring all the stakeholders," because they had already told me they've got different groups planning this. I said, "You bring the stakeholders to the table. I'm not going to I don't want us perceived as trying to steal your memorial."
Right.
And they said, "Okay." And they came back 2 or 3 months later and said, "We're ready to go." We started designing, we changed some things. Then it came down to, where do we put it? And I said, "Go out there and pick. You pick wherever you want to put. We can we'll look at it and see if we can make it work.
Right. Interesting.
And what they picked was where it is, but there was a big oak tree immediately south of that. Since then, the oak trees died and we put another one there. But we started building, pouring concrete, or ordering granite, laying it out. And let me back up for a moment. When they were planning a fire department 9/11 memorial.
Oh, okay.
I said, no, we're going to do a 9/11 memorial for everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
That way, nobody's feelings get hurt. So we brought NYPD retired group in to the mix. We worked it out. Everything came together and was ready for the first service, I think, on the 10th anniversary of September 11th. And the morning before, that piece of steel was brought to the cemetery.
How big was that piece of steel,
It's
though?
about 125 pounds.
Okay.
It took 3 guys to lift it into place.
Wow.
We didn't know how we were going to display it because there had been different ideas for mounting it to the 2 towers that we built. There were a group of us standing at the curb. There were a couple of the firemen, 3 of them kind of balancing around what we could do this. We had a steel fabricator on site to build cut brackets and mount it.
Yeah.
And we all looked around, and the 3 that were holding it, we said, stop. Don't move. Took a picture of what they were holding it, and that's what you see today.
Oh.
Some of the other requirements with the steel in the tower was, 1, they wanted water around it. 2, they wanted to be able to touch it. And they wanted a flame if possible. We were able to provide flame 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
The touching the steel, you can walk to the backside, and it's right there.
Okay. So you can't put your hands on the backside?
You can.
Okay.
We occasionally remove it and put another clear coat of automotive finish or paint, color, whatever, not color, but to seal it to keep it from rusting.
Right.
So we don't have as bad of rust stains as we're gathering.
Right.
But they thought it was important that people be able to touch it, and it truly is.
Interesting.
The other thing that's interesting about it, and we've had him, he's spoken a couple of years ago as our keynote speaker, a gentleman by the name of Lee Lapie.
Okay.
He was a retired fireman, but at the time he was active duty in New York. And he was put in charge of dispersing the steel, or giving it out, approving it.
Interesting.
And there's still steel available today.
Really?
It's in a hangar in New York.
Wow.
But
Interesting story.
back to that point on there is there's some white markings on the steel. We didn't put them there. Fire department didn't put them there.
Yeah.
And they fade and they come back, and they fade and they come back.
Really?
Yeah. We asked Lee when he was here, what do they mean? He said, I have no idea. I don't know what that is. So we know we have no idea what the markings are, what they mean. They're numbers and letters and dashes. But it's a mystery.
That's very interesting. You gotta scratch your head. You see it every day.
Oh, yeah. But everybody that passed away that day
Right.
is acknowledged in some way, either by name for the fire department, fireman 443, I believe, to the Port Authority and NYPD, all the way down to Canine Sirius, who was on duty with the New York NYPD and was put in his crate by his handler when the first tower was hit, and the handler was never able to get back to him.
Okay.
He's memorialized there and in our pet cemetery, but nowhere in New York, because the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey wanted to make sure there were no animals memorialized in any way. So it said the memorialization in New York is only for humans. Another little interesting sidekick there.
That's very interesting. That's a really interesting story. I mean, I know that you have a lot of... I was just curious how many people actually show. Like in the last few years.
We've had anywhere, we estimate as many as 25,000, or 2,500, excuse me, not 1,000. 2,500 when Governor DeSantis and Lee Greenwood were here,
Right.
all the way down to probably 1,200 to 1,300. About normal's 1,500.
Yeah.
You know, 1,500 I say is normal,
That's
which is a
awesome.
lot of people.
Well, thank you for doing that. That's
But
That's really
Kurt, the most important part about it is not important part, but we'll do it if there's one person there,
Yeah.
because we don't want to forget what happened that day. And
kudos to you guys.
whether
Yeah.
it means whatever it is.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say about it, and then we can move on. We're not political. Governor has strict instructions if he comes or when he comes. No politics.
Right.
We talk about 9/11 and
Good to hear.
remembering, and
Remembering,
local politicians or whatever. No, it's not a signed agreement. It's a verbal agreement, all the way up to when they go up on stage.
Right.
No politics.
Yeah. So
Because
it's been
politicians
yeah,
like to get into it a little bit.
rubs people the wrong way depending on.
Half the people in the audience you'll rub the wrong way.
Right.
But no,
So
we
it's just amazing that we've been through this almost 24 years now.
this will be
right.
the 24th anniversary.
24th anniversary, right?
Yep.
So it's nice to see. You see, if you watch TV, you see commercials, you see it on Facebook. It's not just around the time of September 11th that it's kind of the remembrance. From my point of view, it's all year long. Some kind of foundation is tied to 911,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So it's great.
it's
that
one of
we
the-
don't forget.
we don't
We
forget.
don't forget.
Just like you're young enough maybe to remember when Kennedy was assassinated.
No, but I'm 55. I was born in 70, but yeah, I kind of know some history about that. And
For those of us that were alive that
Yeah.
day, we remember exactly where we were, what we were doing, and
Right.
so forth.
right.
Just the same as
Just
9/11.
Yep, 9/11. Exactly.
Yeah, those
I know
are dates.
exactly where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, switching gears. Obviously, you're a trustee of the Palm Harbor Chamber. Curlew Hills is
Yep.
a trustee. So, talk a little bit about how you got involved in that trustee, and what does that do for you?
I'm going to go back in the history to Curlew Hills beginning in those early 80 days.
Okay.
Howard Lawrence was one of the people that helped form the chamber
Oh, okay.
and actually helped select the first executive director.
Okay.
And so Curlew's been involved in the chamber since the beginning. Sometimes heavier than others, depending upon the people involved or health and stuff like that. To be a trustee is another way of giving back to the community.
Correct.
The chamber does a lot of things. Spends a lot of money, but can have a lot of expenses promoting and so forth.
Yes.
Chamber has to have a steady form of income,
Right.
and that's the trustees.
Okay.
They get, in my mind, gives them the basis to build on
Right.
and to keep the lights on, the doors open, somebody here to answer questions and so forth. So that's one of the many ways that Curlew tries to give back. It's not something that you raise your hand and say, hey, I'm a big trustee or anything. You just do it.
Right.
And we're honored to do it, and we'll continue to do it.
Awesome. I thank you for that, because I think a lot of people, our audience is always are trying to figure out they possibly want to become a member, or they are a member. What else can they do besides their membership? Is there anything else? Meaning being an ambassador of the chamber, being a trustee, as you just mentioned, but it all kind of circles back to helping the community.
Yeah,
Right.
and as I look at our chamber, and I've over the years been involved in other chambers, we're a large chamber in numbers,
Right.
but our basis is built on small businesses, mom and
Correct.
pops. And when you look at those kind of business, you go and say dues, and yeah, you can raise dues, but every time you raise dues, somebody gets cut to the point where they've got to make that tough decision, say, I can't renew next year. The trustee income should, or at least I hope, helps offset that
Correct.
to keep those. But you never know. Today, a small business can easily hit it big
Yes.
and
it
become a
can.
multinational corporation. They all
Right.
started that way.
Yeah.
So, that's part of our involvement and want to make sure that we keep it healthy
Yeah.
and keep it here to support everybody.
I've been in the chamber since 2018 and started out just being a member and kind of elevated myself to try to give back to the community, which I always have done in my whole life, right? But I wanted to know what was more than the actual membership. You know, what is kind of the backbone of the chamber? Where are dollars going? What are we doing for events? Are we catering to the small businesses? So I think that's very important to me to understand what's going on. So I got to where I was part of the board, part of the exec board. You know, I could see myself being the chairman in these next maybe few years, just because I've heard to talk about it. I've been asked to.
Asked you too.
Anyways, that's the nice thing about us understanding how we can help our community, because it's very important. I mean, Palm Harbor I've been here for like 50 some years, right? So I want to make sure that what we're doing is right, because I'm not going to be in this position forever.
Nope.
But other people that are coming in going, hey, you know what's about the chamber? What do you guys do? Why are you guys so successful? Why are you having so many events? There's a lot of whys.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of explanation. So it's education, trying to educate people.
And it's only as good what you do today for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
History's great.
Yeah, well said.
And you can lay the foundation,
Right.
but you got to have the new blood to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're at 440 members. So it's interesting when those new members come in, it's almost kind of like deer in headlights.
Yeah.
And I think going back to what I talked about a few minutes ago about ambassadors, our main duty for new members is to go over there and
Welcome.
help
Say
them.
hello.
Exactly. Hello. Who are you? How can I help you? When you ask somebody, how can I help you? It's kind of like they like fall back a little bit and they go, did he just ask me how he can help me? And that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
And it's very nice. So when we go to our luncheons, there's 50, 60, 70 people. Sometimes it can be very intimidating just walking in, especially if you've never networked. Now, we've had a few, I'm not going to mention any names, and they've walked in there, and then, again, deer in headlights, like, oh my gosh. And it looked like they want to just walk right out the door. Even though they paid for their lunch, they want to go. Well, they want to go sit in that corner over there and hope no one talks to them. But our job is to make sure, because once you talk to these people, 99% of the time, they open up.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about the business. They talk about, what they're looking to do for their membership. Yes, I've been a member for 2 weeks, trying to learn the ins and outs of the chamber. When do we have these meetings? I know I signed up for the chamber lunch because someone told me, but where can I go? Can I go to a website and check out what's going on through this whole calendar year? And is it month by month? And all those things I just mentioned are yes, yes, and yes. So you can go
And more.
So it's nice to kind of direct those people,
Right.
because everybody's got families, they got businesses, they work 9 to 5. Some people have their own schedules.
Right.
So you have to kind of cater to all those different types of members as best as we can. So I think we've done a pretty good job. We're always trying to improve, though.
Well, the chamber has done a good job because of the basis in it, the people in it that have been there for a while, that have gone through either the chairs or
Right.
the committees and so forth. But at the same time, you're always looking for new people to feed into that.
Yeah. And it could be anybody.
Yeah.
It could be a small business. You could work for a bank. You could work for a corporate. It could be anybody.
Anybody.
I think it's just those people that come back to us. They want to help in the community. They want to volunteer. Like I said, 7 years, right? It took me 7 years. Well, it shouldn't take me 7 years. I mean, I'm 55 right now, so 48, the light bulb went off
Yep.
for whatever reason. I can't remember it right now, but there's a reason why. So here I am.
I think you're a golfer, so probably a golf tournament or two.
Yeah, you're probably right. It was somehow, some way that I got kind of coursed into going to it, and I figured out what the Palm Harbor Chamber was really about. And fast forward, and here I am.
Yeah.
So, any last words?
No, I'm thrilled to be here with you
Awesome.
today. I can pledge to you and the chamber that Curlew Hills will stand behind them and continue to support the chamber as far as I've got a say in it, and I'm sure after that as well.
Well, Kenan, thank you so much. Kenan at Curlew Hills, everyone. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Palm Harbor Chamber newsletter for updates and the next episode. A big thank you to our trustees for their incredible support. This podcast was produced by ABS Photo and Video.